Hi friends, today we're going to be working on lesson 5 in our math book, regrouping tens to add. So if you're going to open up to page 377 to follow along. Okay, so today we're going to build off of our skill of regrouping ones to add. Okay, so we've done this in the past, we did this in the previous lesson. Anytime you have more than 10 ones, you regroup it as 10. So we're going to do the same thing, except now we're going to do that in the tens as well to regroup as 100. Because remember, anytime you have 10 of something, it bumps up to the next place value. That's why they're in tens. Ones to tens to hundreds and so on. Okay, so we're going to model this by drawing some base 10 blocks. So it says my town has 163 stop signs. There are also 181 street lights. How many stop signs and street lights does my town have? And then we're going to write the number sentence. So first I want to model 163 in base 10. So drawing my 100 flat, 6 10 sticks, and 3 1 cubes. Okay, and then 181 streetlights. So then we have 100 flat, 8 10 sticks, 3 4 5 6 7 8, and just one group of 1. Now, to add them together, I'm going to start always with my ones. So I have 1 2 3 4. I don't have to regroup, so I only have 4 ones. Now my tens, I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. That's a group of 10. Okay, so I'm going to cross that out and make it a square. 100 flat in this case. And then I'm left with 1 2 3 4. Remember, we can't forget anything that's ever left over anytime we regroup. Sometimes you won't have anything left over and it would be a 0, but you can't forget what it does. And now I have 1 2 3 hundreds. So 163 plus 181 is going to equal 344. And remember, when we make this, it's the equivalent of carrying that 1. So let's talk about this in a little more detail, right? Let's be a little more explicit. So let's find 375 plus 462. Step 1, add the ones. You always start with the ones and work your way up. I don't care if you're adding 5 plus 2 or if you're adding a million plus 2 million and 3. You always start with the ones and move it up. So adding the ones, we have 5 plus 2 is 7. Do I need to regroup anything for that? Nope, because 5 plus 2 is 7 is not more than 10. Doesn't make a group of 10, so I'm not going to carry anything. Okay, so then step 2, add the tens. Just moving over to that next place value. If there are 10 or more tens, regroup the tens as 100. Write 1 in the hundreds column. So you're using the same strategy that we've used with our ones, except now you're just doing it with the hundreds. So as you can see, we still had our 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. So there's a group of 10 that we had to carry, and then 3 tens left over. And then step 3, add the hundreds. So adding that 1 that we carried, 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 4 we know is a doubles fact is 8. So our answer is 837, right? 837. Okay? So as always, you can use that work mat in the back of your book and draw base 10 blocks, or you can use paper, whiteboard, whatever you want to kind of draw and make that space to give you a visual representation if you need it. So we have our hundreds, our tens, and our ones. They've charted it out for us in this first couple. So in our ones place, we have 3 plus 5. Well, 3 plus 5 is 8. I don't need to regroup anything for that because it's not more than 10. Now I move over to my tens place. 4 plus 8 is 12. So I do have a group of 10 there because 12 is more than 10. So I carry that 1. And then I have 2 left over. Okay, see how that made 12? And then we just move on to the next one. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, so the answer is 628. So really just breaking it down into the columns makes the math pretty easy because you're never working with more than, a single digit number addition when you're doing the columns like this. It's really just remembering to carry the 1, because if I had put the 1 here, it would have said my answer was like 5,128, which would not make any sense. It's way too big. Okay, so how would I have drawn that? Well, if I had drawn it, 243 plus 385. So if you wanted to draw it, right, you could have your work mat with the 3 columns. You'd draw this on your paper and you'd have your hundreds, your tens, and your ones. So this should look really similar to when we drew with just our tens and our ones. So you'd have 243 and 385. All right, so I would start with my ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wouldn't need to carry anything over. Tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I would make that 10 100. Carry that over. So then I'm just left with 2 tens there. And then I count my hundreds now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't need to carry anything because it's not more than 10. So I get my answer at 628. So if it helps you to draw them, you're more than welcome to do that as well, either in that workbook page, work mat in the back of your book. Remember, those are in the back of the book, or on a piece of paper or your whiteboard. All right, so let's try another one. 2 plus 4, because we're starting our ones. You always start in your ones. 2 plus 4 is 6. Again, not more than 10, so we're not regrouping that. 6 plus 7 is 13. So I have a group of 10 and 3 ones left over because that's 13. Think about if you're a little confused of how do you know how many to have left. So if I had 13, I would have a 10 stick and 3 ones. And remember, you're only moving that on to the next group. So this is what you would be left over with. Now in this case, of course, it's tens to 100. So you'd have sticks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That would change into 100 flat. But the idea is the same. All right, let's talk some math. How is regrouping ones different from regrouping tens? Well, it's actually kind of what I just talked about, right? So they're very similar because if you have more than 10, you're regrouping to the next one, but it's different because even though, yes, I said, 13 is what that place equaled, it was actually 13 tens. Okay, so if it would be 13 tens, it's actually representing 130, right? So that's the main difference, really, is what you're counting is a bit different, but how you do it is the same. All right, and I forgot to add my hundreds here, so my last 100 is 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 6 is 7, so our answer is 736. So sorry, I got a little ahead on that one. All right, so as long as you can remember starting with your ones, then moving over your tens, moving over your hundreds, and anytime you have more than 10, you're going to regroup. All right, so I want you to practice that on this page. This is lots of really, really good practice. Up here, they have separated the columns for you. Down here, they haven't, but that doesn't change anything. You're always starting with that right side and moving to the left because you start with the ones and move to the hundreds. All right, and then of course you have your problem solving and brain builders where you have to read a bit and set up the problem yourself, which is also a really good skill. And then you're going to do the same thing in your math homework for your points today, stretching their brain with those brain builders and word problems as well. All right, so as always, do your best, try hard, and have a great rest of your day.